Welcome to Trudeau's Canada, where the borders are wide open and the red carpet is just rolled out for anybody. Do you have skills, a trade, or a benefit to our economy to at least take care of yourself? Nah, if you got at least 10K, dude, you're good to come in here. Now, while most countries tighten their security and scrutinize everybody that comes into their country,
we'll end the illegal immigration crisis by closing our border and finishing the wall, most of which I've already built. We have to stop the invasion into our country that's killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. We're not going to let that happen.
our fearless leader has a different plan.
We've got an open border allowing this stuff to come in freely. And what are we doing about that thing in particular, an open border?
Sir, how am I going to go on this? Canada is a country that was built by immigration.
For you, my good friend.
You look like an old pro at that.
We have the social services and our housing market completely overwhelmed. The visa never should have been lifted by Trudeau. He's the one that caused the chaos in our immigration system. He and he alone is to blame for it.
Trudeau's immigration agenda has one specific goal: flood Canada with as many new faces as possible, regardless of the risk. Security checks, background screenings, who needs those when you have a grand vision of diversity? Well, despite the efforts from the CBSA, CSIS, and the RCMP, the cracks in the system are widening. How many potential threats are slipping through the grasp unnoticed, ready to disrupt our once peaceful society? Look, all fear and FUD aside, there's one main reason why Trudeau is letting in so many immigrants, and it's really one reason only, and we're gonna break that down right now. Under the Trudeau government, Canada's population has been booming like crazy, especially since the pandemic. But it's always been Trudeau's mandate to have at least 400,000 new immigrants every single year since 2015 when he took office. But as we know, especially in recent years, we've been blowing that 400,000 right out of the water. And even at 400,000, a lot of economists were saying that's too much. We don't have the infrastructure, we don't have enough doctors and nurses and dentists, and we certainly don't have enough housing to support 400,000 new immigrants. We've had approximately 1 million people from January 1st, 2024 to the time of me making this video, July. We've had almost 1 million people just in those 6-7 months. And we're not even done for the rest of the year yet. That is absolutely insane. And that is after the Trudeau government and his cabinet members have said, you know what, we're going to slow down. We know the public is getting outraged. We clearly don't have the infrastructure. We're going to slow down, pull back on the immigration levels. But honestly, if you look at the numbers, that's not really happening. They're not pulling back on nothing.
Starting in 2026, the number of newcomers we aim to welcome will stabilize at 500,000.
Holding immigration levels steady will be a change in course after years of annual increases, but it also comes amidst a national housing supply crisis.
Now, here's the thing. Canadians can get all angry and fearful for the economy, for housing, for rent, for houses. But we all know one fact. The majority, 80% or more of the immigrants that come to Canada come to the GTA. So if you live in any major city around the GTA, Kitchener-Waterloo, Cambridge, Hamilton, Peel region, Toronto itself, that's where the majority of them are coming. And why wouldn't they? That's where the opportunity is. That's where the jobs are. That's where the housing is. That's where the amenities are. The major airport, close to the US border. Like, that's why Southern Ontario is what it is. It's the powerhouse of Canada. Our universities are there. Our major colleges. Everything is there. Sorry, Alberta, and sorry, Eastern Canada. That's just the way it is. Now, let's get right down to it. Crime and terrorism. Do we have an increase in terrorist activities, terrorist acts? And the answer to that so far, at least for the information we can gather, is no. We don't have any more increased major acts of terrorism. In fact, there's hardly any in Canada. ever on a yearly basis, which is great. That's what makes Canada Canada. But the idea that, all the immigrants coming here, they're the ones, causing all the terror, stealing all the cars, break-ins, violent crimes, and that's just not the case. Now, there are immigrants doing those activities. There's no doubt about it, but it's not an increase more than Canadian-born, people. Because let's be real, if you're here on a green card on a temporary resident basis, you're not going to fuck around. You're less likely to go steal shit, especially a car, and especially violent crime, violent assaults on other people. You're less likely to do that, and so far, that's holding up. Now, again, are there people coming from other countries doing those things? Yes. And you are seeing them in the media. You are seeing them on social media because people are shining a spotlight on it. See, look, they're doing it, but, so are other Canadian people. So are people born in fucking Brantford, Ontario, Kitchener. By the way, Brantford, Ontario, you gotta get your shit together, okay? You're embarrassing Ontario. It's a nasty town. Now, Canada isn't alone in this massive population growth that's happening. Australia is also seeing the exact same thing. Germany, France, a lot of countries in Europe, because they're being led by similar type leaders. Now, Canada has a long history of letting in immigrants to the country. This is not anything new. In fact, Canada has been built on it just like America. Don't forget, the United States of America is the biggest country to show how immigration works, letting people all over the world, ideally the best people, come to the country so that they can start businesses, so they can be construction workers, so they can be doctors and dentists and all that kind of stuff. Now, a lot of the people coming to Canada don't fit that bill, and we can talk about that for a long time. But the idea is when you let people into the country, your economy grows quickly and you're attracting the best and brightest. Canada has a long history of doing that. In the 1970s, we had a massive boost of Vietnamese people coming to Canada. And in recent years, we have Syrian refugees and everybody in between. Like I said, Canada has been doing this for a long time. We just haven't been doing it on a massive level like we have been, where we don't have the infrastructure, specifically housing and hospitals, doctors and nurses, to fill the need for the massive population growth. Now, we can wrap this video up real quick because we can talk about this for a long time, but let's get right to it. What's the main reason, the real reason, not the unicorn reason of, Canada's an accepting place and we want diversity and DEI, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion, all that good stuff. What's the friggin' real reason? Let's get down to it. No more theatrics. What's the reason why Trudeau's letting in so many people? One question and one question only, and the answer to that is money. Canada's broke. We don't have money. Why? Trudeau spent an insane amount of money. He's been spending like a drunken sailor since 2015. Balancing the budget, he doesn't even care about the budget. It's just spend. Make Canada look good on the political theater stage around the world. Who cares about Canadians at home? Who cares about our economy? Who cares about inflation, the de-dollarizing of our dollar? Who cares?
As part of this approach, I'm announcing $650 million in new military assistance over the next 3 years to supply Ukraine with 50 armored vehicles, including armored medical evacuation vehicles.
Let's just spend our way out of it. The guy's like a 16-year-old girl who got let into a club. He's crazy. Now, the real reason why he's letting in so many people is to try and fix his shit. Because right now, he knows the economy is garbage, and he's known it for the past couple of years, which is why our immigration rate has been insanely quick on growing. So, he needs more taxpayers. That is it, guys. That's it. That's the reason why immigration has always been a thing, is to grow the economy, have more people come and work and then pay taxes. But now it's on a whole new level because the budget is fucked.
After the Prime Minister promised the budget would balance itself. And what did he do with the money? Everything he spent on has become more expensive.
It's going to blow. We don't have enough money. And get this, the biggest generation, the ones who really built this boom since the 1970s, are the baby boomers. And they all had great jobs and they were part of the Canadian American dream, very consumer-esque in the way they spend. They love consumerism. It's just the way the economy was. It's what the brainwashing was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. You need more stuff. Your blender, forget that one. Get the new model. Get the new blender. Get the new telephone. Get the new TV. That was boomer-esque type. We can talk about this and go on a side tangent, but it's why millennials, my generation, are much, much, much more minimalist than our parents, the boomers, because we grew up in a house full of shit. There's shit everywhere on the shelves. Our parents are always buying stuff. It's just the way the pendulum goes. But our generation is like, I don't want stuff. I want an empty, clean room. I don't want shit everywhere. And the boomers were consumer. Spending, growing the economy. That's why we had a great economy, man. From the 70s to the early 2000s, that economy rocked. And now the economy's not rocking so well. Why? We don't have enough spenders in the economy. It's hard. Getting an education, going to university, that's a lie. Working at a good company and getting up the corporate ladder so you can retire on your pension when you're 55 years old, lie. For millennials, have your 2.2 kids and you can afford 2 cars. You can even afford to buy a cottage upstate on top of your house and your mortgage, lie. All lies for millennials. So millennials are very, very minimalist. We're very budget conscious. We don't spend a lot of money on shit. That's a problem. We need consumerism in the economy. The economy has to grow. We got to be buying stuff. It has to be GDP growth. That's all from consumerism. And our consumers, the baby boomers, are about to die off. Boomer generation right now are 60. Not to put, a sad tone on this. In the next 10, 20 years, the majority of them are going to start dying off. Who's going to be left? Us, millennials. But we're not consumers like they are. And the budget is so fucked. There's no way we can spend enough to counteract the amount of spending. So what does Trudeau got to do? What does a country like us got to do? We need more people. We need more consumers. Come to the economy, get a job, start paying for the boomers because they're all going to start retiring and living on their pensions and government pensions and Social Security. Who's going to pay for that? We are. Millennials, Gen Zs, and immigrants who are millennials and Gen Zs. That's the reason, guys. That's it. That's the reason. It's not DEI. It's not political theater. It's not inclusivity. It's taxpayers. Trudeau needs taxpayers. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments. What do you think? I'll see you in the next video.